What's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's Kevin Forte, and today we're taking a look, of course, at my favorite team, the New York Islanders, as we take a look at their trade targets. Now, we all know Lou Lamoriello. He's taking off for the summer, and this probably will not happen. But the Islanders have two key needs to address to reinvigorate the confidence in the Islanders fan base and really from around the league. Now, the Islanders have some needs, and you look around the division, they've got some tough competition. The Devils have gotten better. The Blue Jackets have gotten better. Depending on what Pittsburgh does and Washington, they might be getting better here between now and the beginning of the season. So the Islanders have to make a move, in my opinion. They need another scoring forward, which we've talked about for the entirety of the Lou Lamoriello era and even the Garth Snow era. They need a scoring forward. And at this point, they need another top four defenseman. We're going to take a look at those today. So we're going to break it down piece by piece. So the first piece is a top four defenseman. Who could the Islanders realistically get as a top four defenseman to fix some of their issues? Because, yeah, they brought back Scott Mayfield, but they need another defenseman here. They are not in the clear yet. And in my opinion, there are two defensemen out there that I think the Islanders should really be taking a peek at. Now, the first one is down in Carolina, and that is Brett Pesce. Brett Pesce's name's been thrown out there for a long time now, really pretty much since the end of the season. Brett Pesce's name has been out there. You look at the Hurricanes' numbers in terms of salary cap and trying to re-sign guys like Sebastian Aho coming up next year, Teuvo Teravainen. There are some names available there. And Brett Pesce is on the final year of his deal. He's 28 years old. He's got a modified no-trade clause. Right shot defenseman, making $4 million for this season, and he'll be a UFA next summer. He's from Tarrytown, New York, so he's a New York native, comes in at 6'3", 206 pounds, and is a third-round pick back in 2013 from the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I would have to think that the Islanders are not on his no-trade list. I don't know. I don't know exactly his situation. But I think when I look at the Islanders here, that's definitely a good fit for him. It's a good fit for the Islanders. The Islanders desperately need another right shot defenseman. And, you know, until Dobson and Mayfield develop into legitimate, bona fide top four defensemen, the Islanders kind of lacking in that regard. You've got Pelech and Pulak, and that's about it, in my opinion. I think Dobson's gotten better, but he's still showing some of those flashes of leaving you wanting more. And that kind of hurts their third pair because their second pair isn't strong enough. Their third pairing actually looks weaker. And that's kind of where I look at a guy like Brett Pesce, who put up 30 points as a defenseman last year. With the Hurricanes, he played all 82 games. He's been very healthy. He played a full 70 games in 2021-22. He played 55 games the season before that. So he has been playing, knock on wood, he has been healthy the last couple years. And the Islanders desperately need a defenseman that can not only stay in the lineup, but can also be a productive defenseman. And that is exactly what you're getting in Brett Pesce. And I don't think the price tag would be that high because, like Carolina's situation is with their salary, they need to free up cap space because if they want to keep some of their guys that are already actively on the roster, you've got Aho and Teravainen who are UFAs next summer. We're going to get to that in a second. Marty Necas is an RFA next year. Jack Drury, Seth Jarvis, all those guys are RFAs next year. So Carolina is going to need to reinvest in some of those younger players up front, which means they're going to have to move out some salary. And you kind of do the math, and Brett Pesce is kind of one of the odd men out for next year. So the way I look at this situation, it's definitely something that is advantageous for the Islanders to take advantage of Carolina's lack of cap space. Yeah, they're trading in the division, but if you trade next year's first-round pick for Brett Pesce, I'd honestly be okay with that. I wouldn't really mind that. And I think it's worth the risk for the Islanders because you're getting a top four defenseman. I think that's something that the Islanders have to really consider. Now, the other one I was looking at, which also might make a little more sense because there's not that fear of trading in your division, and that's the Calgary Flames. Now, depending on what happens with Calgary, you know, we're going to get to them in a minute because they're a trade partner for multiple reasons, both Carolina and Calgary. And we're going to get to the other part of that in a second. But Noah Hanifin, similar situation. A little bit more money next year, but $4.95 million. Final year of his deal. He'll be a UFA next summer. Modified no trade clause. Left shot defenseman, 26 years old. He's from Boston, so he's from the Northeast. So there's definitely the suspicion out there that he could be a potential fit for the Islanders. He has an 8-team no-trade list. I would assume that the Islanders aren't on that part of the trade list, but that could really complicate matters and really make it impossible if that's really considering it's only an 8-team no-trade list, he might not waive it for a team like the Islanders. So if they are on the trade list, this idea completely goes out the window. But I think he's another good fit here for the Islanders. 38 points in 41 games last season. He's been really healthy as well over the last couple years, similar for the most part compared to Brett Pesce. He's played a full 81 games the last 2 years. Between both seasons combined, he's played 162 games. He's played playoff games for Calgary as well. Really what I like about Noah Hanifin, similar, and you're going to see a theme here between Pesce and Hanifin, defensemen that are very good responsibly in their own end, but also bring a flash of offense and that threat of offense and the puck-moving ability to move the play forward, be a quarterback on maybe the second power play. Noah Hanifin and Brett Pesce can both do that. And I think the Islanders desperately need that type of defenseman because, let's be honest, as the joke goes, the Islanders have a bunch of pylons on their blue line. And that's not necessarily in a bad way, but it's kind of taken that way. But they have some big defensemen that aren't the most mobile, per se. And not a knock against Pelech or Mayfield or, even a guy like Alexander Romanov, who's still... The problem with guys like Romanov and Dobson, in my opinion, are unless they step up and become top 4 defensemen next year, there's that little bit of a lack of accountability on that second pairing for the Islanders' blue line. And that's where, breaking up, in my opinion, when they broke up Pelech and Pulock at points last year, when Pelech was hurt last year, Pulock was not himself. I think it was November and December. Pulock played very poorly when Pelech was out, and the Islanders really struggled when Pelech was out. For obvious reasons, because Pelech is such a good defenseman, but also it hurt the guys around him when he wasn't in the lineup. It hurt their game, and Pulock was the biggest culprit to that, which also hurt guys like Dobson and Romanov below that. So it's kind of a string line of defensemen kind of being impacted because Pelech was out of the lineup. And that's where if you got add a guy like Pesce or Hanifin, there's a little bit more structure with those guys there and a little more experience. And the Islanders are trying to win the Stanley Cup. They didn't make it to the conference finals by accident in 2020 and 2021. That was not by accident. The Islanders got there because they are that type of team that is structured enough. When structured enough, they can be a real threat. And I think that the Islanders are a team right now that I'm looking at. If they could add that one more defenseman, would really make a big difference for them. Add a lot of credibility to that blue line. And it might not come at a premium price considering both of those guys, Pesce and Hanifin, are UFAs next summer. Calgary's going to probably lose for nothing or Carolina's going to lose for nothing. It might actually be a benefit for the Islanders. Now, I also look at this as another situation where the Islanders potentially could add another top 6 scoring forward. We talked about that as well. And honestly, both of these teams fit in that accordance as well, Carolina and Calgary. Both will be UFAs next summer, Teuvo Teravainen and Elias Lindholm. Now, Elias Lindholm is a huge one if the Islanders were able to get him from Calgary. And I think the only way the Islanders get a Hanifin deal done is if Elias Lindholm wants out of Calgary. So there is a way where the Islanders could make a package for both Carolina and Calgary. Carolina's package being Brett Pesce and Teuvo Teravainen. And for Calgary, Noah Hanifin and Elias Lindholm. Now, the price tag instantly increases if they were to try and package up both. A top 6 forward and a top 4 defenseman in each of those packages. You're probably looking at Ruslan Ishakov, 2 first-round picks for the next 2 years in 2024 and 2025, and probably another roster player. Yeah, it's going to be expensive, but you're talking about really good players coming the other way that can instantly impact the Islanders. I think that's something the Islanders would have to consider. I don't think Lou Lamoriello would do it, but that's what the Islanders need. And if they want to be taken seriously next year as a real cup contender, they've got the goaltending, they've got the defensive side of the game, they've got a pretty solid defense, but if they could upgrade to that defense and add a really good scoring threat, you talk about the combination of a healthy Bo Horvat, healthy Matt Barzal, and a Teuvo Teravainen or Elias Lindholm, and then you've got Pelech Pulock, and then you've got one of Hanifin or Pesce alongside Romanov. You've got the emergence of Samuel Bolduc next season on your third pair with Mayfield. Guys, the sky's the limit for the Islanders, but they've got to add some of these pieces. And they're going to have to sacrifice the future again, yes. But the Islanders are trying to win a cup now. And if they want to be serious, they want to be taken seriously from the rest of the league, you've got to make some moves. And I think they can do that here with Carolina and Calgary. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think of the Islanders potentially making some kind of trade? I would think that Jean-Gabriel Pageau would have to maybe be a part of those deals as well, which definitely would suck. But I think the Islanders could find a way to get it done. But let me know what you guys think down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.